Hi there, and welcome to Planet Zoo. Now, it's been a while since I built anything in Planet Zoo, but the launch of the new Australia DLC this week has inspired me to get working on something new. So, brand new series and brand new plan. Now, I've started with a map in the desert biome, and it is setting this rather fetching scene as the Australian outback. So, this is the beginnings of a new mini zoo complex that I'll be working on. My intention is to build this up to incorporate all 5 of the Australia DLC animals included in the pack. Now, so this is a small zoo, so it will house only those 5 enclosures, plus the guest facilities and the staff facilities. But I do want to do something a little different with it. I'm going for a modern sustainable design and injecting a little bit of realism into the mix. So, sustainable ecological design. And that actually makes sense for building a zoo on the outskirts of a desert, and the new Australia pack pieces actually lend themselves very well to this too. So I'm going to go with a bit more realism, and in real life it'd be difficult to build and operate a zoo that is this remote without building in some sustainable features. In fact, planning permission for anything out in a protected environment like a national park, that would likely insist buildings and structures were sympathetic to the environment. So running a zoo out in the desert would certainly be challenging, taking account of the extreme conditions. So realistically, you'd be going for prefabricated structures that are hard wearing, with a low carbon footprint, and that are sustainable and efficient to run. What I want to do with this mini park is show how building eco doesn't have to be ugly though. You can still inject a little bit of style into the build, while staying true to the principles of sustainable design. So first off, I've started with this pavilion structure. Now, this is meant to be the focal point from the entrance, and it's meant to draw people in, helping the flow of people through the zoo efficiently. It's not a tall structure, and it blends into the landscape quite well, which is good for ecologically sensitive design. There's a couple of other eco features I've implemented here as well. So first off, the wooden louver facade. Now, this is a design technique used in real buildings to regulate airflow and light penetration, helping lower the building's solar gain. So, in other words, it absorbs less heat from the sun and benefits from natural ventilation. Certainly beneficial for a building in the desert. Now, you can see how this is even working in-game. If you check at the sides of the building here, you can see how the louver is forming shadows across the building. And it's little details like this that I find so awesome about these creative games. You can really imitate a real building design pretty accurately. So the wooden louver here, it is serving a purpose. I haven't just put it in there to look fancy, but I have tried to put a bit of style in there too. Now, this wavy design, I think I'm going to use that throughout the park's build. So when I get onto the exhibits and things, you'll probably see similar waviness. Right, so that's the outside. Now, inside the building, this is a very open space with a bit of an art installation going on here. So, Mecha Room, she's obviously made out of scrap metal, so very eco-friendly. And she's sitting atop the reclaimed wood map of Australia. So, an art installation that is actually still embracing sustainability. That's what I mean when I've said that the new pieces in the new Australia Pack DLC, it's actually embracing sustainable design itself. There's a lot of reclaimed metal, reclaimed wood and such like. So what else have we got going on in here? Yeah, so the wood panel ceiling up here. Now, that's the new Australian wood ceiling block, and it really does look good inside the building. The shadowing makes it look like it's been varnished. Now, the outside definitely looks a little bit more weathered, which is actually a nice realistic effect too. The back section here is enclosed in glass, which I've got coming out at an angle, so adding some depth to the building, but still not too tall. Now, a cool feature about this much glass would definitely cause a problem with trapping heat. However, if we go outside, you'll notice where I've built this, it doesn't get any direct sunlight. So if I move this time slider here like this, you can see where I've positioned it. It avoids the sun at all. So it's the front of the building taking the brunt of the sunshine, where we've already got the louver system up to minimise the impact from the heat. So that's a real example of the environment that you build something in. It affects what you do when you build it. so like avoiding direct sunlight with the panelling at the back. So anyway, moving on. Back inside, what else have we got going on here? Now, I'm going for a very natural colour scheme. Where possible, I'm mimicking reclaimed materials. So like over at the food court and the drink stalls, you've got the reclaimed signs and wood panelling, and even the new Australian food benches and tables here look reclaimed. So that's pretty neat. Now, over this side I've got a set of toilets. Now, they are quite small toilets because realistically, in a park with such a small footprint, I don't think you'd be entertaining that many guests at any given time. Oh, and something else I've added here with the toilets. Now, if I step outside here again, I've set up some equipment and this grate here to kind of mimic there being a sewage storage tank or maybe a bio-waste system, because, you know, they're definitely not going to be hooked up to some sewage main system out here in the desert. Waste would need to be tankered out, or they'd have to go with some kind of full bio-waste technology system. So that's the toilets. Now, what else is there here? Oh, yes. Now, about the only thing I've designed here that isn't sustainable construction is the concrete walls here. Now, concrete is definitely not an environmentally friendly material, either to make it or to dispose of it once a building reaches the end of its life. But it's extremely hard wearing and can be prefabricated off-site. So that's where this entire concrete structure would be constructed in a factory, then transported to site and fixed in place, which for a building remote out here would be much easier and logical than extensive construction at site. I know it sounds silly, but these are the sort of things I think about when I'm trying to recreate a building realistically. I think where the location is, how would it be constructed, how would you get big wagons in there with a lot of materials, would the environment affect the construction, things like that. It makes the build feel just that little bit more real. The other option for a realistic building out here would be just to go with completely wooden buildings or huts, but they're nowhere near as hardy as the good old concrete and certainly wouldn't look as good, so I'm content this would be a viable option. What I have been mindful to do is keep concrete construction to a minimum, so you've got some of the supporting walls here, and I've also done the little shops and the toilets with a concrete surround as well, because that would be something that was prefabricated and just slotted in at site. So overall, I'm quite happy with this building. I think it slots in quite nicely into the landscape. The planting out here, I've kept this fairly low key and to mostly native plants. Once I get more of the park completed, it'll start blending in very well. So lots more to come. Now, I don't know if it'll show up so well in the video, but I have marked out sections of the terrain with paint where I'll be adding other stuff. So over here will be the staff and animal facilities, and this side will be more for guest facilities like the gift shop. And back here I'm going to start playing around with some curved and wavy designs for the animal enclosures. I want this with the animal enclosures to look pretty impressive, so that might take me a while to figure out. Anyway, I was debating releasing this pavilion onto the Steam Workshop, but I also figured maybe it's best releasing everything as a set piece once it's complete. But let me know if you'd rather see this as a solo unit or as part of a wider collection when the whole zoo is complete. Also, let me know what you think of this so far in the comments. Suggestions on how to progress are always very welcome, and I do read every comment and try to respond. I think next episode I'll be working on the staff facilities, because we're going to need staff in before we can get any animals in. For some reason the game won't let you just plonk an animal in if you haven't got a vet for some reason. Sandbox can only take you so far. Anyway, that's it for today. I will catch you in the next episode, so thanks for watching and bye for now.